Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video that has not really been talked about on YouTube at all, so I hope you guys enjoy this. But first, this needs to change, and you will see why in a minute. Now that I'm in the appropriate attire, let's get into the actual video. Today, if you can't see by my hat, or my shirt, or the title of this video, I am going to be talking about my role that I had last year at the ESPN Wild World of Sports complex in Walt Disney World. I'm going to apologize now that this is an absolutely long video, but I'm going to put in the description time codes for when I talk about the different topics. I will be talking about the complex itself. I will be talking about my role, what I did when I was at ESPN. I will go into detail about each role briefly, so I'll put time codes for each of the specific roles that I did. I will put a time code in for how I experienced ESPN, so you'll see all that down in the description below. I'm going to throw in right now, before we get started, a brief overview video, really quick footage that I got one day of me walking back from where my break room is down through the complex, so you can get a rough idea at the main area of the complex. This is not including any of the fields, any inside of the buildings. This is just the main strip of the building. So let's get into those. So I was under attractions last year, so being attractions at ESPN is completely different than what you expect. So under attractions, when you get to ESPN, on your form it will be under guest operations. So guest operations is a wide variety of things. It covers parking, ushering, and main entry are your three main things that it covers. Parking, there are a multitude of different roles or positions within parking itself, so it's not just one position during parking. Main entry, it's the same thing. There's lots of different positions for there, as well as ushering. It is very different as well, with all your different positions and all the buildings. So before I get into all the specifics of what each one is, when I got into my program last year, I had no idea what I was getting into until I got down there. So I know a lot of you guys are probably curious as well, not even just if you have that role, but just curious of what the complex is, what it does, and what it is. Because before I even got down there, I didn't even know it was a thing. A lot of people don't know it's a thing because it's very specialized. So we are going to get into that first. The complex itself is very, very large. Most people don't realize it. It is off of Osceola Parkway. Hopefully I have a map up, but it is going to be off of Osceola Parkway, down a street. You will see the street, but it is kind of where, if you went to Disney in this past year during the summer, you'll know they were making a new on-ramp for Hollywood Studios. ESPN is right down there, so it's very close to Hollywood Studios. It is near Pop Century and Art of Animation Hotel. Those are in the ESPN district. So when you see in your hotel bookings, you'll see it's under ESPN Wild World of Sports District, because those are the closest. ESPN, size-wise, is actually twice as big as the Magic Kingdom, as a matter of fact. You may not think it, but when you see the map and when you're on the complex, It's twice as big. It's massive. This is the map itself. So it may not look super, super big, but we have the complex itself. It is very large. It has 4 main buildings and 30 fields. We have baseball quads are fields 1 to 5. You have Diamondplex, and those have, you can do softballs there on there as well, so that's 10 to 15. Fields 7 and 9 are soccer fields, and those are also versatile, so they can be switched to different sports. And then fields 16 through 30, again, are changeable fields, so you can do soccer, football, lacrosse, a magnitude of sports. We have a stadium called Champion Stadium, which is identical to a regular MLB stadium. It is where the Atlanta Braves play. This year, unfortunately, as of 2019, is their last training season there, but it is a fully functional baseball diamond. We also have the HP Fieldhouse, which you can have up to 8 basketball courts in it as well. There's pull-down seats. That's the place where if you're going to do any professional pictures, you go there, and if you know sporting events or different tournaments, normally there is a set location that you can get photographers to take pictures of your children doing different things, so you can get action shots, like little baseballs or soccer balls with their faces on it. You can get keychains, a lot of that stuff, that's in there. There's also food in HP Fieldhouse. Then we have Visa Athletic Center. So Visa also can do 6 basketball courts. There is the ESPN Bar and Grill in that building. So if there is, say, a Run Disney event, Visa Athletic Center is normally the building where they do the event beforehand, so where you pick up your bib, your runner's stuff, runner's convention, that's what it is. Visa is normally the place where they do the runner's convention, as well as if there's any big type of conventions like that for different sporting events, you'll have that in there. This past summer, when I was there, or just as I was leaving, I did get to see it, because I was able to go in. We had the Junior NBA, so different little games or things to look at were down in the Visa Athletic Center. And then the last building is the newest building, is the arena. That is going to be the very first building that you normally see as you come up. If you're on a bus, you'll see that coming up on the bus. And then if you're in the main front parking lot, you will see the building coming down the main strip. It will be on your right-hand side by the Globe. So you'll see that. And the arena can hold 4 basketball courts in the main area, and then 2 on one of the wings. We have a north. Normally it was it the northwest? Northwest wing normally had 2 more basketball courts, and then the northeast pavilion has, normally that's where the awards get sent out for different things. A lot of the events when I was there were basketball events, so the awards were in that one pavilion, and then 2 more extra courts were in the other pavilion. 4 were in the main. We also had soccer in there, like little indoor soccer for the little kids were in there as well. Volleyball, lots of different things. And then in the middle of the arena, on the main floor where all the events happen, is like a little, middle's like a little first aid. So if people are injured, they can go down there, see the trainers. They will give you wraps. Sometimes I had a problem with my ankle a few times. I was actually able to go up to the trainer and be like, hey, can you wrap my ankle quick? Depending on how busy it is, you can do that. But again, the players come first at all times. There are seating in all the buildings. In the arena, to view sporting events, you have to go up onto the 2nd floor. It's a little confusing when you haven't seen it for the first time, or if you're not there and you don't know what it is. So a lot of this may be completely irrelevant, but there are multi-levels in both buildings, or in all the buildings, for seating and for all the players. So, that is, for what I mentioned. There's also track and field area as well, where there's a big field, and they have track and field down in that as well. So, that is brief of the complex as well. We have the touchdown parking lot, we have the main parking lot, we have the bus parking lot, touchdown, bus, main, those are your 3 parking lots. Touchdown is kind of in a shape of a football, so we call it the touchdown parking lot. The main parking lot is the front one, kind of when you come in around the roundabout as you go up to the front. That one normally, if it's high events, it's preferred parking, so paid parking is in there. Disability parking is up at the front. So there's that parking lot. Touchdown parking lot is normally only used for overflow. If there's a lot of guests coming in, we send them in that parking lot. That parking lot is also free lot. And then depending on how, if it's a slower day, we'll use the back end of the main lot for free parking as well. And then the bus lot is kind of the very last resort. That is also a free parking lot, but that's like extra overflow. So that's the parking lots. So now that's an overview. It might be a little long overview, but we will now, the reason why I'm giving you that overview is because all of that is relating to what my role was in attractions under guest operations. So under guest operations, you do ushering, you do parking, and you do main entry. Those are the three things you will be trained on. So with parking, you will be trained in multiple positions in the parking lot. There are, I don't even know how many positions there are. I can name them, but if I name them, I don't want to go into a full description of them. But there are a lot of parking positions, so you will be outside. It is very hot, but don't worry because there are water jugs outside to fill up your water bottle. So there's that in parking, as well as you will be learned to do carts. That's also another position. Carts is another position, but in the parking lot, there are golf carts that you drive guests as a shuttle. It's not like the trams in the parks. They're actual golf carts. They're about 8-seater golf carts that you learn to drive, bring guests to and from the front by the globe back to touchdown. That's mostly parking. It will get very, very hot. Sometimes you can get shifts at 5:30 in the morning and have 8-hour shifts in the parking lot. So you get there dark. There's no guests coming in yet. You're just setting up the parking lot, getting it ready. The 5:30 shifts were the interesting ones, but honestly, my parking family was where I preferred to be. At the end of the summer, I preferred actually to be in parking most of the time because that was probably one of my favorite positions, surprisingly. The second position is ushering. So you can be outdoors or indoors for that one. All depends on the event and what's happening. So you can usher inside, making sure, for if you're inside the building, say for basketball, for example, because that was one of the main events that was there when I was there. So for basketball, you kind of stand by the courts, watch them, make sure no parents are on the floor, make sure they're up in the seats where they need to be. Make sure anyone who's on the floor has the proper credentials. If there's a specific event and someone who, say, is not working, is not a regular at ESPN, or is a regular at ESPN, there will be sheets out that will actually give you a quick rundown of all your duties as an usher for the specific events that happen. So you need to know the general gist of where this court is, where that court is, but all your roles, they do vary from tournament to tournament, from depending on who's running certain ones. So you have your list of duties with you, so you know what you're doing at all times. And then main entry is just your standard main entry that will be at any of the parks, but again, it's a little different for ESPN. There are a few different areas for main entry. There is by the baseball diamond, so at the far end, there's going to be a baseball V. We call them Vs, so that's where the touch points are on Vs. So you have one all the way on the baseball diamond. That one's normally only open if there's like a baseball event or something big is happening. There's that one open. There are main ones right at the very front. So we have 4 Vs at the very front of the complex, and then down by the arena we have 2 more Vs down there. So not all of them will be open at once. It all depends on the event, what's happening, and the amount of people that are coming in. Entry, again, is just your standard. You're there making sure everyone has the right tickets coming in, making sure they're there for the right event, and it gets really tricky with ticketing. I'm not going to go into that, but essentially, if you're a cast member, your blue ID, your main entry, does not get you into ESPN for events. An ESPN Seasons Pass is separate from a regular Disney Park ticket. Your Disney Hopper Pass will not work at ESPN because it is very specialized, and you will have to buy a specialized ticket to get into ESPN. The same way as a Park Hopper Pass will not get you into a water park because the water park is a specialized ticket. ESPN is the same way, as it is a specialized ticket. And normally people only go to the complex if they're there for a certain reason. ESPN doesn't really have anything for normal park guests to experience, just because ESPN was made for a place where athletes can come and be treated like professionals. That's pretty much what ESPN is. It is a place for young athletes to come to feel like professionals in a big environment and have that experience of being on a professional soccer field or on a full-size basketball court with professional floors, or being on a professional baseball diamond. All of that is what this complex is about. ESPN has set tournaments at not all times. There are gaps, and I will get to that. ESPN has times where there are no events running and the complex is closed. So again, guests can't just come in, and normally guests are only there if it's for a specific reason. So, next I will get to the hours, and that comes in with the complex not being open all the time. So, with the complex not being opened all the time means that there will be days where you won't be at ESPN, but you can get deployed to other locations. Normally at ESPN, if there was an event running or it wasn't a high volume event and they didn't need that many cast members, they normally deploy you to Rivers of Light at Animal Kingdom. I loved it. I actually spent a fair amount of time at Animal Kingdom just because there were some days where, even though there were events running, they didn't need as many cast members there, so they send you over to Animal Kingdom. But do not worry about getting enough hours. You will get enough hours no matter what. By rules of the college program, by rules of any program that you take, you have to have a set amount of hours, so no matter what, you will meet the amount of hours you have. They will be on the lower end, so it'll pretty much almost be the minimum amount of hours you can get, just because the complex isn't running all the time and it's hard. Because with attractions, any attraction, it's very hard to transfer your skills over to a different thing, like to a different attraction, just because it's very specialized with what you have to do. Once you get deployed to Rivers of Light, so fun. They're normally, because we need more hours, they normally give you 5-hour shifts at Rivers of Light instead of the regular pickup shifts, which are only 3 hours. On your time, say if you're at ESPN in morning to afternoon, you can always find a pickup shift on the hub at night. Most of the times I picked up pack shifts, which are parade audience control at Magic Kingdom. Normally, those are the ones that are set out for the fireworks for Happily Ever After. Those are only 3-hour shifts, so a lot of the times I'd pick up those at night as well on top of my ESPN shifts. So don't worry about getting enough hours. You will get enough hours. They will be on the low end, but don't forget to pick up shifts. Always keep checking the hub, see what shifts are available to pick up, see what you can do time-wise to get from ESPN on the bus back to your complex, then from the complex over to your next shift. So picking up shifts, totally okay. Most of the time they're just going to be pack shifts. So you can also pick up pack shifts at Rivers of Light if you aren't deployed there and you just feel like you need a few more hours. You can pick up there. It all depends, again, what's on the hub at that time. So always check the hub. If you want more hours, definitely check there. The bus for ESPN, there's one bus and it doesn't run that often. They run about every half hour. So you have to be careful making sure you get the buses on time so you can get to that next shift. So I'll actually talk about buses then while I'm on that topic. So your ESPN bus, when I was there, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same. It is the G bus, what you'll take. And that takes you to Pop Century Art of Animation, the Pop Century and ESPN Art of Animation costuming, Caribbean Beach. And it's a very short route, but ESPN is on the end of the route to get to ESPN, because that is the very last stop. So always take that into account when you're going to work. Make sure you get there with plenty of time, because the bus is going to be a long ride. In each of the buildings, or not in every building, but there are many break rooms at ESPN. I think that's overall just I know it's a long description, but a description of what my role was, because there was a lot of different options to do while at ESPN. Under attractions, you will get trained in all of them, and you will have shifts. Carts is the golf carts, where you pretty much get to just drive around on golf carts all day, which is a lot of fun. And those shifts are limited. Those normally only happen if there's big events happening out on all the fields, say for baseball or track and field, where there's going to be a lot of equipment that needs to be carried. There are equipment carts, so you can be in charge of driving an equipment cart, where you will have, say, a baseball bag or football equipment in the back of your golf cart, and then you will have one guest with you who is 18 years or older that will drive with you to that location and drop it off, and you do a route. There are also shuttles in the back throughout all the fields when it is a big event, like if there's soccer where all the fields are being used, or if there's baseball, because the distance between all the fields are very large, you will learn specific routes for those. So that is also another part of attractions. So, or guest operations, as they call it at ESPN. Those are all the descriptions of what you can do under attractions at ESPN. I know you can do quick service and merchandise as well. For merchandise, I will link in the corner to a video that my friend did, where she picked up a shift at ESPN for merchandise, and she talks about it over there. And then, so I'll link that. And then for quick service, there are a few places where you can do quick service at ESPN. There is the bar and grill, as well as you can do some of the stands outside. Thanks, camera. But, so, like I was saying, if you do quick service, you can do food trucks, you can do inside, you can do pop-up stuff. So there are a lot of different options for food and beverage as well. And again, for food and beverage, you look on the hub for whatever you can. You can pick up shifts there. You will get deployed as well. So don't worry about getting or hitting the amount of hours you need. You will always get the amount of hours you need, and you can always pick up more shifts for whatever's available on the hub for you. So, all of the boring stuff aside, I loved it. I like explaining it. I will now get into my experience at ESPN. I actually was very shocked and surprised when I got my role about a week before I came down saying that I got ESPN. I was very confused because when you hear attractions, you don't think of ESPN being an attraction. It was very strange, but when I got down there, it was honestly amazing. I cannot ask for a better summer. The people down there are amazing, the leaders, the coordinators. I still talk to some of my coordinators to this day. I've made so many friends at ESPN that I still talk to. It was absolutely an amazing time. The heat did get to me sometimes. It does get pretty hot when you're standing outside. Ooh, I'll get into costume for that after as well. But it does get pretty hot outside, so always make sure you have a water bottle on you. And like I said, there will be a water jug, so you can refill that all the time. Some positions may get a little boring. There is one specific position in the parking lot that's called the Y. That's one position that's meh, but you do learn to love it. But it is fun. Parking, again, like I said, was one of my favorite positions just because the coordinators were so nice, so understanding, so fun to talk to and laugh with. The positions, once you get a hang of it, it is pretty easy to pick up. There is a lot of guest interaction in parking because you're always talking to the guests, directing them in the right direction. It does get very fast-paced. Sometimes you will get angry guests coming in. ESPN parking is confusing. The way to get to parking lot to parking lot, it is a bit confusing, and I do understand that. So if you get put there and you do parking, you will understand why it's a bit confusing. But parking, honestly, is very fun. Pretty much, you don't have to walk to your positions either because there's so many positions and so widespread. There are cash shuttles that will drive you to your position. So I enjoyed parking. One of my favorite things. I love being outside. The only downfall for me was because I do have tattoos, I had to wear pants, and they were black pants because the ESPN costume is a lightweight t-shirt and either pants or shorts. Again, for me, I had to wear pants, so it was very hot being out in the parking lot. You have black shoes, so having the heat in the middle of the day with pants and black shoes, very hot, but with your costume as well. At costuming, there are hats that you can get as part of your costume. And then these hats here that I'm wearing these were specific to last year, that they were giving them out to cast members when you were there during the Brave seasons, as well as they had some near after the Brave season was over for that year, that some of the cast members that were there were able to get them. So this hat is actually, it's not you can use it for your costume, but it isn't a costume hat, which I had to pay for. I actually received this from ESPN, which was absolutely fantastic, and I love wearing this hat. Because ESPN is very different from every other park, we do things not differently, but certain things like the discounts that we get for food are completely different than the parks. For instance, if you are working at, say if you're working for the day and you didn't pack a lunch, while you're working during the day for your food, for lunch you can actually go to any of the food options that are at ESPN and purchase things, and it is a 50% discount. So, say if you were in the parks and you were working and you wanted to get food, normally it's a 20% discount, but at ESPN, while you are working, it is a 50% discount on food, which was absolutely fantastic because on your lunch, you can go up to the ESPN grill, grab a burger and fries, and it's 50% off. So that was a major plus while working there. I absolutely loved that. I did pack a lunch a lot of the times because sometimes if the line is too long, you don't have time to stand in line to get that because, again, guests come first. So if it was a really short line and I was hungry, I'd grab something and it was 50% off. But most of the time it would be too long because a lot of people at the same time when I was taking my lunch were trying to get their lunch. So that was a little meh. But again, 50% off food while you're there, fantastic. I cannot be more grateful for having a great leadership team down there. The coordinators that I have were absolutely amazing. They took care of you, they made you laugh. if you're having a hard time because of the heat, they will pick you up, bring water to you, being like, okay, yeah, I'll go fill up your water bottle for you if you don't have time, if you're not near one. They will do all that for you while you're out. It's absolutely fantastic, very accommodating as well. I loved it there. I don't think being there for summer was honestly amazing. I love sports. I grew up on sports. I coached basketball when I was younger, so being around that for the summer was absolutely amazing. And you did get to experience being in the parks as well. Because you got deployed, you were able to experience those different guest interactions in the parks, and you will see the guest interactions in the parks are much different than the guest interactions at ESPN, because again, like I said, ESPN is very specialized and specific. You're mostly there for, or you're pretty much only there for sports and tournaments, so that's a different kind of guest than park guests going to Walt Disney World. It's a different kind of magic you are making at ESPN compared to in the parks, but again, it's all a magical experience. You are really making sure the guests at ESPN feel like they're being treated like professional athletes compared to Walt Disney World and all the parks. Well, we're all at Walt Disney World, but compared to in the parks where you're making all these magical moments to make it the most special and magical experience and make it absolutely in awe for them there. You're doing that at ESPN. You're doing it at ESPN for a different group of people, so it's going to be a different experience there that you will get while you're working in the parks. But again, it is absolutely amazing to see everyone's face light up, being like, hey, look, I won this, or hey, I did this really good today. So it's really cool being able to experience that with the guests. I could probably go on about it all the time, but again, being at ESPN, it's very different from working in the parks. Like I said, it's a totally different environment that you're working in. I absolutely enjoyed being at ESPN. It was a great experience. Don't be intimidated if you have an extension there or if you get placed there as your location. Don't be intimidated. Don't be disappointed with it. Be grateful that you get to experience something completely different than what you expect at a Disney park. Be able to create that unexpected magic that you don't hear about on a regular basis. Create that unexpected magic that people will keep with them for the rest of their lives because it's a different type of environment and it's going to be a different type of magic you are creating for them. So do not forget, you are creating things in a different manner and being able to spread that type of magic with those guests. But, okay, I'm going to apologize again now for the length of this video because it is long, but I hope you guys were absolutely informed with it and I hope I did justice to explaining it. And if you guys have any other questions about ESPN, please leave it down in the description below. I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that you guys were informed and enjoyed what I'm saying about the complex. So I will leave you guys at that. I hope, oh my god, I can't say this a billion times. So please like and subscribe this video. And again, if you have any other questions about ESPN, if you have any other questions about my program that I did, please leave them down in the description below. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. So I am just about to start editing, but what I wanted to do for you guys, because I do have a ton of pictures of me while working at ESPN, I wanted to put together a little slideshow right at the end of this video of all the fun people that I met, all the experiences that I have. So I hope you guys enjoy seeing all this and see that you will have a great time while you're at ESPN.